Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. And by the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission advocates on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Community Hotline is a show that focuses on local nonprofits doing really good things in the community. And tonight is no exception. We're going to start out talking with the Disability Art and Culture Project. And here to represent them, we have our Executive Director, Kathy Coleman. Thanks for being here, Kathy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So tell me a little bit about the Disability Art and Culture Project. You are one of the founders, is that right?
Yeah.
So how did this come about? What did you, what possessed you to start a nonprofit? That's a lot of work.
You know, it started because there was a bunch of us who wanted to dance, and we were really having trouble finding spaces to dance in, whether they were accessible, because most of us at that time had mobility impairments, or that were just welcoming. So like not showing up at the door and people surprised to see you, like
why are you here in a wheelchair, or why you're here with,
having that understanding that dance, you know, can be for everyone, and people may want to train and take class.
So is there any other organization like this in the area? I mean, I know there are organizations that work with people with disabilities of different kinds, but as far as teaching dance, I'm not aware of other organizations that do that.
I think there are people who do like 1 or 2 classes, like in their organizations. Like they may have a class for, you know, a ballet class for people with disabilities, or you know,
maybe
that
expose
kind of
them to different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But your focus. So tell me if you can what your mission is.
Well, our mission is to support both disabled artists and emerging disabled artists. From a social justice perspective. So thinking about the broader picture that being on stage is really an act of social justice. So you probably see in the media and hear in the media about actors and actresses like who don't have disabilities, then they're hired to play a disabled part, and they get an Oscar, versus hiring an actor with a disability
who could do the job.
Yeah.
And it's only been really in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years, I think, that I've seen people with real disabilities actually playing some of the parts. You know, somebody in a wheelchair, or somebody who has Down syndrome, you know, or somebody who's, you know, deaf or whatever. And it's a great step in the right direction, but it's always a really big deal when it happens. You know, people say, "Oh, isn't that cool?" You know, they hire somebody who actually has that disability, but it kind of only makes sense because certainly there are actors and actresses in every, you know, that are disabled. I'm sure there's plenty of them, and maybe, you know, maybe they're not getting the chance that they should get. So your thing was you wanted to dance, and do you have a background in dance, or what is your background in?
Yeah, I do have a background in dance, and I also have a background in working nonprofits.
Oh, okay.
So
well, that's a good thing when you you need to start your own.
And there's quite a few people in this area who've studied with Alito Alessi, who's actually based in Eugene, but he does Danceability International. And so Danceability is a specific methodology of dance that's integrated, so it's for people with and without disabilities, and also it's based on improvisation.
Oh, really?
So
nice. Really express yourself then, huh?
Yeah. And so that's one of the things I do.
You teach it? Or
I teach it,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
I teach it, and I use it in my choreography.
Oh, okay. Well, so tell me.
Or in creating like what we call improv scores,
Okay.
which is how you create a dance. And then you might have where people are on stage and what the feeling or topic is of a dance, and then people like choose their own movements within that framework.
Okay, so it's very loosely choreographed, maybe.
Yeah,
with like, okay, everybody's on now. Only some of you are on now. That kind of thing, And maybe there's a solo by somebody, but they can kind of choose their own movements and express themselves how they want to. So how? Okay, tell me then about how your organization. How does this work then? If the people that come to participate in your programs, you said there are disabled people and people that are not that participate. So who comes and who participates? Who's part of the organization, and what are the different things that you offer besides the dance classes?
So we have our Inclusive Arts by Dance Company, which is the dance part. Then we have Disrepresentation, Evolving Disability Conversations. And that actually came about because a bunch of our community said, we really want to talk about disability culture and arts, but there's no way we're getting on stage to perform.
Okay,
so we created that program so that we can have discussions around arts and culture that are related to disability.
And do you get a lot of participation in that?
We do. It tends to be, it's smaller groups, but it's also, which works when you're trying to have dialogue.
Right. And they're probably people that really care. You know, it's not like there's just a group that's sitting there listening to a lecture. There's probably a lot more actual involvement in the conversation. So take me back to the inclusive
Arts Vibe.
Inclusive Arts Vibe. And it's your dance company. Do you perform then for?
We do. We perform. We always have our own show. And then we also make dance films. That's kind of a newer thing over the last few years.
I want to hear more about that.
And then we also perform in other community events.
Okay. So if there's a community event, whatever it might be, you might be invited to actually be one of the performers at that event.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. So you brought some pictures. And are these pictures of dance performances? Is that what we're going to be looking at, or practice? Or
yes, they're either most are dance performance, and I think some are practice.
Okay, well, maybe we can take a look at those now.
Yeah, so these are, this is actually a practice in costume.
I was going to say that they dressed us alike. Yes.
Yeah, really, it just happened to happen. No, and this is, Addie and Monique, and they've both been in the, Monique actually started in the company when she was in 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
And she's a senior this year.
Oh, my.
And Addie, I think, is about the same amount of time.
I didn't realize you took them that young.
We started out being a youth company.
Oh, okay.
And then people got older.
Yeah, funny how that works, huh?
Yeah,
So you let them hang around, huh?
Yeah. So we just thought, and it works for us.
Good.
Yeah, it works for us to have that intergenerational and older people like mentoring younger dancers.
So I was going to say, I bet they mentor them. Yeah.
This is a piece from our last performance, and hopefully you can tell there's a video
playing in the background.
Yeah,
Right. I was trying to determine if that was a video or if it was a set piece, but it's actual video. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
And this piece was called Listless Frosts, and it was about losing the love of your life.
Oh, it sounds really sad.
It was a sad piece. That's why they're not dressed, because they're too depressed to get dressed.
Okay.
But yeah, and one of the dancers.
Maybe we can go back again. So one of the dancers in that piece then.
In that piece in the middle is another one who's been with us since. That's Rachel, I think, has been with us for 10 years. She's in the middle. And she often chooses to do a lot of solo work and create her own solos.
Oh, wow. She's not afraid to be on stage then, is she?
She's not. Not at all. She expresses herself through dance and talks about how dance is basically like who she is.
Oh, that's
and part of her love, her heart, her existence.
That's what makes her passion in life.
Yeah.
We'll see the next one. That's a very colorful one. I like this.
Yeah, this is called Chicken Delight.
I like that. That's cute.
And so that's where the yellow theme and some of the red, and If you look closely in some of the patterns, there's eggs.
Oh,
Some of the patterns.
fun.
But yeah, so this was a really silly, goofy piece that we did. And we had a whole kind of, our last performance was called Chicken and Cheese Pizza.
Yeah, that was an interesting name for it.
Yeah, and some of that was based on this dancer in the front who's holding the legs. That's Monique, and she loves cheese pizza, and she has T-shirts usually that have some kind of cheese food on
Really?
them. Yeah,
Funny.
almost at every rehearsal she wears them, and so we thought. I mean, one of the things that was the personalities of the dancers shine through in the work we do,
I like
and
that.
so
That's good.
so we want to take like their interest and their personalities and put it as part of our choreography and
Do
in
they
our
have
dance.
input into the dances themselves?
Yeah, because they can, like I say, anybody, like Rachel choreographs her own solos, and I'll support their process. But they can, but anyone in my company can choose to do a solo or can choose to do a duet. Wow. And so they have that practice of learning that process and doing it. There's no like only, we don't have a best dancer and a
Right.
It's
not like it's always a company and you're the solo artist who's always featured or something like that. The prima ballerina or something like that. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Give everybody a chance. So this is interesting. I like this. Very sparkly.
And those costumes were because we had our 10th anniversary.
Wow.
So which is
Congratulations.
aluminum and silver. Yeah. So that was a particular dance that we did for that. So that's where the silver and sparkle comes in. And this is actually an improvisation piece.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought improv would be very difficult, either comedy or, speech or dancing. I do remember once being in 8th grade and I was in a dance recital and I had a solo and I totally forgot the dance. And I did just faked my way through the whole thing and I made it. Nobody knew the difference, but it was tap dancing and I just, kept tapping. But overall, I think it would be a little, I guess maybe it would be a little more freeing once you allowed yourself to do it, because you're doing whatever you feel.
And again, we had a score, so there were certain things they knew, like in the very beginning we started as like what I call an amoeba, very close cluster. Yeah. And then they move out from that. And
so you just kind of set some parameters.
Yeah, some parameters around how people were doing it. The music for this was some very contemporary classical like opera. And so it was somewhat atonal. And so we kind of built off of that.
It just sounds like fun. So where do you have a performance space that you use regularly, or you just for your performances?
We do everything at New Expressive Works.
Okay, and that's is that on Belmont? Is that
it
right?
is on Belmont,
Belmont.
810 Southeast Belmont.
Okay,
it's a great studio space.
I don't think I've ever been there. I'll have to check that out. So do other organizations use that as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's shared by lots of different folks. That's kind of the point of it, was to be a community space for dancers to work.
Nice. You talked about social justice, and so do you do advocacy work then? Do you for disabled people, or just or what are some of the other things you do to try to get conversations going about those who are disabled being able to participate in dance or whatever it is that you feel needs to be discussed? Yeah,
we do. And one of our projects is very specific. It's called REAL, and it stands for Reject Economic Ableist Limits.
Reject
Economic Ableist Limits.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really about policy for changing policies and systemic change around employment for people with disabilities.
Okay.
But of course, since we're an arts organization, we're going to look at art and activism, and as we go through this process, we're working like doing theater of the oppressed to get our message across. So there's a lot of connections between art and activism, as we've seen just in this last year.
Well, and that's a great way to get people engaged, I think. Yeah. So you also mentioned something about film or video, that you were doing dance films. right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What's that all about? I read on your website there's a film festival that you participate in.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that all work?
So we're a partner with a national film festival called Real Abilities,
Okay.
which is this great program that's it's actually going international now.
Oh.
So I think there's Mexico and Toronto are at
Really?
it now. Yeah.
Wow.
But what's really great about Real Abilities is that they curate all the films. They take care of that. They provide all the media. We have these monthly meetings, and there's Real Abilities in Philadelphia and Chicago and Austin, and
there's one here too?
And now there's Portland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, or we did our first film festival in 2016. So we're coming up on our second one this spring.
And where are the films shown?
We're working on that.
Okay.
But one thing that's different is we have them all done in one place on one weekend in our first film festival. And so we're wanting to really spread out where we show them. We want to make sure that we have films, for instance, in East Portland and possibly Gresham.
Right.
So we're actually looking for people who want to partner with us if they want to partner and have disability films in their organizations.
Let's talk after this, shall we?
Okay.
You know, you can show a film in here, right?
Right,
You know?
right, yeah.
That might be a natural partnership.
It
And
might
I
be.
bet you have other partners that you work with too, right? I mean, every organization has some partners that they need to work with to get their work done. So the Real, what is it called? Real Film Festival, is that what it's called?
It's Real Abilities.
Real
Real
Abilities.
Abilities,
Thank you.
yeah.
Real Abilities.
Yeah.
So that would be somebody that you partner with, and
Right.
right.
We're the Real, and then we have a community committee. So anyone who wants to join our committee can, and then the committee plans the film festival.
Oh wow.
So, and which means also getting to curate and watch all the films.
Well, which is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the fun part. Yeah.
Are they short films usually? Probably.
They're a whole range of
Okay. All sorts.
genres, short, some are feature length.
Wow.
The comedies, dramas.
They come from all
fiction,
over.
nonfiction. They do. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like fun. Film festivals are always fun. So I want to ask you one thing. I was reading on your website, which I found very interesting, that besides being the executive director, you are the artistic director. And then I read this about you. It says, she uses text and movement to portray lived experiences of cross-disability realities and dreams. Okay, I read that like 3 times. I need you to explain that to me. She uses text and movement to portray lived experiences of cross-disability realities and dreams. It's that last part I don't understand. Cross-disability realities and dreams. What are you referring to there?
Well, cross disability, that's our organization. Cross disability means that anyone with a disability can be a part of it. So it doesn't matter if you have cerebral palsy, you can have a psychiatric disability, you can have a learning disability, and we're all going to come together.
And some can be seen and some cannot.
Right. Yeah. Non-apparent and apparent disabilities, absolutely.
And then also there's a lot of talk nowadays about intersectionality, where there's you may be gay and have a disability, or you may be black and have a disability. So there's like those intersections of things that we use to define people. And it seems like there's that you address that too in your organization, that there's an intersection of different sorts of disabilities and different sorts of things that define people that I don't know how to say this. You're welcoming everyone, and it doesn't matter what's going on with them. You're welcoming of everybody, it sounds like.
Yeah, and the intersectional part is really important. Historically, in the disability community, it's been, especially in the disability rights movement, it's been a white movement, a white people's movement, and really strongly led and participated in by white people. So we're actually, like a lot of movements, like if you think of the feminist movement, they have waves, or a second generation, third generation, right? So we're kind of in that phase where now there's a disability justice movement that's actually taking us into like looking at intersectionality, led by those most impacted.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I know. I grew up in the 70s, and feminism was a really big and important thing to me, but it never really occurred to me that it was really mostly white women that were involved with it. And it didn't occur to me till years later with my daughter. And yeah, and those things are important. You have, you know, you have to be inclusive of everyone. So I'm just about out of time. Tell me, if you could, Kathy, how has it benefited you to be part of this organization, to have founded it? Do you, I mean, I would think it would be personally very gratifying to be able to help other people, but tell me what it's done for you.
I feel more than helping people, it's building a community, a cultural community, because we don't often think of disability as a culture.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So I feel like that, and it's just, in all honesty, it's a dream come true.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I love this
How wonderful.
work,
I mean, how wonderful to do work that you love.
Yeah, and the people that I work with are really amazing, whether it be the dancers or the other artists and activists that I come across.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful thing to be able to do something that you love and you believe in, and that's great. Well, we're out of time, so I appreciate this. You have the festival will be in the spring of next year, correct?
Yes.
And then, and is there anything else that we need to know before I let you go here? Oh, the Inclusive Arts Vibe Dance, I know you meet on Tuesdays at the Expressive Works. Can anybody come and watch that ever, or is it closed? If
you're interested in joining,
okay.
you can definitely come and watch, or just come and participate and check it out.
Okay.
And we are recruiting dancers right now.
Oh, well, good. Okay,
so if people are interested.
Okay, good. And they can go to the website, and we'll have that information up on the screen too, and they can get more information.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much,
Great.
Kathy.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. You bet.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this first segment of Community Hotline. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be watching for more of this organization. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more.
Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. And by the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission advocates on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
My documentary was more than I ever would have dreamed of doing.
This is a community media station.
It was phenomenal.
Ready, camera one.
What is it about this place that makes so many different people come together?
Ready, camera two.
Very professional, experienced people.
You can use these industry standard pieces of equipment.
Ready, camera three. Take three.
To be rich to do this.
Open people's eyes to something they've never even thought of before.
Cool stuff happens. It becomes this community.
That's going to really change who's telling the stories and who's controlling the messaging.
You are lucky enough to be watching the channels at MetroEast Community Media.